It just amazes me. How did some Muslims vote for someone who, in his own words, engineered the Muslim ban? Someone who's so pro-Israel that he declared Jerusalem the capital of Israel. But let's look at the figures. In 2016, 11% of Muslim Americans polled by CAIR intended to vote for Trump. In 2024, at the exit polls, no less than 21% voted for Trump. That's 1 in 5 Muslims, almost 1 million people. And even in Britain, you've got everyone from, Pakistani uncles to British-born British Pakistanis who openly support Trump. And as a sociologist at the University of Warwick, whose work has been on Muslims in Europe and North America, my first question naturally is why? So I'm going to list some of the reasons, not in order of importance, based on interviews and data I've gathered online. First reason is nationalism. People who say things such as, I'm American, I love America, and Trump is the most patriotic of the candidates. Second is anti-terrorism. People who supported the Muslim ban argue that it's important to filter people who enter the US so the general public will have a better image of Islam, and it will push the countries to reflect on terrorism. Third is business. Trump is a businessman, and that's important for lots of people who are tradesmen or business owners, because it comes with the prospect of lower taxes and neoliberal economy, which is in their favor. Fourth is anti-immigration, which can seem curious for people who are of immigrant background or immigrant themselves, but they argue that immigrants hurt the economy because they believe that immigrants send all their money back home. Fifth is conservative stances. Lots of people align with Trump's stances on, being anti-women's rights, anti-abortion, anti-LGBTQ, anti-black activism, and so on and so on. And sixth is the promise of peace. And this comes from lots of people disappointed with the Biden administration, because Trump seems anti-war and promises to fix the situation in Palestine. Whether he will do it or not remains to be seen, and lastly, he declared Jerusalem the capital of Israel. But this was a decisive factor in towns like Dearborn, Michigan, or Hamtramck, where the Muslim mayor publicly supported Trump. My next question is obviously, who supports Trump? And the truth is, it's not black and white. There's a bit of everyone. You may have some alt bros who are, kind of Salafi leaning, but are really enamored by Trump's conservative stances on, anti-black, anti-women, anti-LGBTQ. But you also have some Sufis. You probably remember when Hamza Yusuf joined the Trump administration and declared Trump a servant of God. But I believe this is more because of the opportunity of political dialogue and, his belief of a dialogue with the far right and the conservatives, and also because Trump is harshly opposed to social unrest, social activism, in other words. You even have a group called American Muslims for Trump. So this group was founded by Sajid Tarar, a Pakistani born in Pakistan but living in the US, who is really big on assimilationist stances and anti-terrorism narrative. But what does the average Muslim Trump supporter look like? Well, in 2018, a study by the Institute for Social Policy and Understanding published a report called "Which Muslims Voted for Trump?" According to that study, the average Muslim Trump supporter is, let me list, older, US-born, male, higher income, but lower education, and non-black. And surprising point of data, these are people who also scored higher on the Islamophobia index. In other words, people who identify as Muslims, but who believe that Muslims are inherently violent people and less civilized than the average person. As a reminder, you may know it by now, not all Muslims follow or believe in Islam, and not everyone who identifies as Muslim supports other Muslims. So one question is, how can people be blind to his anti-Muslim policies and statements? So people give excuses like, he doesn't really mean it. Well, when he says Muslims, he means terrorists, or, it's just for entertainment, really. But people can't see the lack of logic of his decisions. For example, Muslim ban. Why did Trump not ban people from Saudi Arabia, the Emirates, Egypt, or Lebanon? Because 15 of the 9/11 terrorists were Saudi citizens, and the others were Emirati, Egyptian, and Lebanese. But you probably know that politics don't always follow logic. People say things such as, at least he's being honest, he speaks his mind, which I believe is rooted in a will to see change in the usual political landscape. And some people just like his personality and his brand. I mean, remember, Trump is a master marketer. So when you hear things such as Trump will fix it, it sounds really appealing. But if you're British, you probably know that this slogan comes from another very famous person whose name was Jimmy, and I'm not gonna dive deeper into that issue. But if you want my opinion, I truly believe that, politics, left and right, there is no much difference. If you look at the past, the record from Democrats and Republicans, even under Trump, you realize that it's just two faces of the same coin. Trump, who is more unfiltered, enables anti-Muslim behaviors and discourses, but, what did Democrats do for Muslims in America at the end of the day? Some may argue that their policies are just more insidious. So I believe that whoever wins doesn't guarantee the end of hatred and acts of discrimination against Muslims. Look, in Britain, we've got a Muslim mayor of London. Did it change anything for Muslims? Representation is not liberation. This needs profound social, cultural, economic, political changes, which can be facilitated by policies, but ultimately, nothing is possible without the people at a local level, even at individual level. The saying, people will not change unless they really want to change themselves. And there's more questions. Why, in general, is it possible for people to vote for someone who is completely against their own interests? So I invite you to watch some of my videos about extrinsic and intrinsic values, in and out group theory. All the links are in the description if you want to dive deeper. That's it for today. I hope it was helpful. And again, take care of yourselves and each other.